Grand Rising.
Is there
Welcome.
North Carolina Territory, Grand Rising.
Grand Rising. Welcome. Grand Rising to the air, Islam.
Islam, Grand Rising, Louis Anthony May Ill, Newark, New Jersey Territory.
Grand Rising, Emperor, welcome. We're about 15 minutes in. We have about 15 minutes before we start. So thank you for coming early this time. How are things going in the territory while we wait for the others to come in?
Grenada Dubose Turk Bay. Getting in for my husband, Welton Turk Bay. He had to leave the house for a moment, but he told me to get on here before he get locked out. So
Islam. We are, yes, Islam. I'm so glad you're here. This is my first time hearing your voice, Empress. I'm glad you're here.
Well, I'm usually listening, and he usually have it on, and I'm just in the room.
Islam. Welcome.
But I am on, my appellation for it is GJDT Turk Bay. So you may see that. That's when I'm on also, maybe in a different room or something, because I be doing stuff in and out and all of that stuff.
Yes, Islam. Welcome. Welcome, welcome. Yeah, we try not to lock it as often as possible, and then even if we lock it, we'll unlock it occasionally, just so that the Moors can get in.
Yeah, I gotta run right quick. Get on there, because I don't want to get locked out. I said, okay, I'm gonna get on there.
Yeah, I do not like to do that, but sometimes we want to be able to get through things without the Albion.
Islam, Louis Andre Ruffner Bay, New Jersey Territory.
Yes, I understand that.
Yes, Islam. For some, it can be annoying, and I'm okay with it just because I know why they're doing it. They're doing it because they can't stop us any other way. And,
right.
Carolyn Wiggins, Alabama Territory, Grand Rising.
Grand Rising, Empress. Welcome, Empress Carolyn. Islam, Grand Rising.
Grand Rising, Great Tariq Bay, North Carolina Territory.
Welcome, Grand Rising, Justice Gregory.
Grand Rising.
We have about 12 minutes before we start, so we're just going to give the heirs time to come in. Islam. Islam.
We had another incident on one of your conference call videos. I had a little incident with a Lamont L, who was criticizing how you don't interact. You were doing all the talking. So I commented back to him. I said, well, if you were on our conference calls, you would know that not to be true, because she always asks if you have any concerns, comments, or questions. So that's not a true statement. I said, if you was on a conference call, you would know. And I said a few what he considered hateful things, but I was really just trying to get him fired up so he'll go back and forth with me, and he did. But
actually, I believe that that's the Albion using that name.
Oh,
but
maybe
that's the Albion using that name. That's him.
Well, it might not be. It might not be because he was telling me about the quo warranto. He was telling me how intelligent he was, how diverse he was in more science. So it might not be in the Albion because he was like, "Have you read the sectorial or something like that?" And the Mondanimus and the quo warranto and the habeas corpus. And I text back to him, "No, I haven't, but thank you for the information. See, if you was on a conference call, you could have shared that with everyone instead of criticizing the host." And I said, "That's what makes nation building." I said, "I expected the Europeans to come on the conference call videos and criticize, and that's acceptable from them, but not from you." You know what I'm saying? I wound up saying,
did you hear his voice, Justice Gregory?
No.
Okay, I didn't think so because that is the Albion. That's an Albion pretending to be Lamont L. That's an Albion. Yeah, that's not the real one.
He got me, didn't he?
You know what? He really didn't get you though, because you already knew that what he was saying was not even valid. I mean, they invalidate he and those like him invalidate themselves by not using the law and coming on being divisive. Anytime that divisive energy is there, and it's good that you checked that energy. It's good that you checked it, put it in check, because that's Moors are not divisive, okay? And now, Negro, black, colored, and African American, that's a different story.
Yeah,
but the Moors, you see what I'm saying? And that you were talking to, that was an Albion who is a nigger. That's what nigger it is. And I'm not being ugly. That's the truth.
Right.
That is their scientific name. And so, yeah, that's where that divisiveness comes from. That's why we just chuckle and move on our way about that stuff.
But even with our people, I find that I have to do that as well, because the nigger shows up in.
It's fine.
But let me go. I don't want
to. We've been colonized. We were colonized previously, but we're out of that. We're done with that. We're done.
I know that I am. But let me not hog the call.
Yeah. We still have about 8 minutes before we start.
Okay, but I don't want to step. I don't want to step on trying to get in.
Islam. Yeah, and we're patient with one another. If it's us and we know it's us, then we're patient with one another, and we love one another enough to know that colonization causes some of us to say things sometimes to one another, but we already know what that is. If we are competent enough to see past that, our nation can make it through anything, and that's where we are now. We're able to see past, things that are said about us and all of that.
And then I try to get a lot of the people that talk to me over the phone, truck drivers that I deal with, and two of them told me that they were going to vote, and I was like, haven't you heard anything I've been saying all this time? I go hoarse talking to them, about the conference calls and what the Moors are doing, and then, called me yesterday to tell me they was going home to vote. And I was like, haven't you heard anything?
Yeah, Islam. Well, everybody is at different places in waking up. Everyone is at a different place, but on the same timeline. So we're still one on the same timeline, but we're at different places. So we just, we kind of make room in our understanding, in our relationships with one another to know that. Some just are not there yet, and that's okay. They don't have to be there today, but they're going to get there at some point. I can tell you that for sure. Because that other system ain't going to let them stay dormant. It's not going to let them stay dormant.
Well, open my eyes to. Have you ever seen that Moors versus policy enforcer? The Moors throw up the flag out of a red truck. That's when I was convinced. You ever see that video?
Yes, I have. I love it. It's a beautiful video. Our brother did an awesome job of putting everything in its proper place.
That's when I was convinced. I was like, what? And then I started looking into it real deep.
Yeah, beautiful video.
Yeah, well,
I was really encouraged by that video. It came out about a year and a half ago.
And I direct everybody. Yeah, it was. I direct everybody that I talk to about more science to that video. And if that don't convince them, I don't think nothing. I mean, I don't think nothing will. Because I was totally convinced when I saw that.
Patricia L. Bay, North Carolina Territory.
Welcome. Welcome, Empress. Welcome.
Thank you.
Well, Islam, let me get out the way.
Islam, Grand Rising. We have about 5 minutes. We'll actually it's about seven or 8 minutes, and then we'll get started. We want to make sure everybody can get in.
Grand Rising, Empress, Nana Bay Central Territory.
Grand Rising, Justice Nana.
Islam.
Grand Rising. Glad to hear your voice and your energy. Glad to hear. Islam.
Thank you, Islam.
Northern Turner Lawrence Bay, Georgia Territory.
Grand Rising, welcome.
Thank you.
On any given day, we'll have 40 or 50 territories presented here, which is awesome. I think that's great. We will give it another 4 to 5 minutes, and then we'll get started. Grand Rising, welcome. I hear some ears in the background.
Thank you for going up.
They're saying, when is this meeting going to get started? That's what young ears do.
Yes, that is what they do. We're still 2 minutes away from our start time.
Mm-hmm.
So we're way early, a little bit early.
So the question they gave was actually, can't we do it now for them?
Yes, Islam. Grand Rising.
Islam, Diane L., Jacksonville, Florida, Territory.
Grand Rising, Empress, welcome.
Welcome.
Hello.
Grand
Islam.
Rising. Welcome, nobility.
Islam.
Yes. Islam.
Islam. What territory are you in, nobility?
Toronto.
Ah,
Wisconsin.
Canaan land, Islam.
Yes.
Canada in all lowercase letters.
Right.
Which means canyon. That's what it means.
Canada in all lowercase letters?
Yes.
Okay.
It means canyon.
Okay.
As in Grand Canyon, like that, it means canyon.
Oh, canyon. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Islam.
So I thought I called right. I thought I called right on the dot so I can get.
Hey, Pauline, it's another shit show starting.
Yes.
Pauline, you got another shit show going here?
One moment. 1 second.
I see you're up to date on your tax records at Federal Way there, Pauline. What's up with that? I thought you didn't have to pay taxes. You're all up to date on the taxes on your house.
Grand Rising.
911 34th Street, huh? 314th. Looks to me like you're all up to date.
It says my line is on.
Go ahead, Empress. If you're signed in as anonymous, sometimes it will do that, just because we are keeping that out, the riffraff, the monkey business out. And sometimes they come in. Grand Rising, welcome. I don't know what they think they're going to accomplish by continuing to come here. We're just going to keep doing what we're doing. They're not going to stop anything. They're not even slowing it. You know.
Islam,
I wonder, you know, I wonder why they even bother like this. I wonder why they even bother. But
tell your monkeys how your taxes get paid.
Matter.
Do they get paid through your mortgage?
You
Or
need
do
to
you pay
put
them
some
yourself?
peanuts around the periphery. I think that'll appease them.
Pauline, tell them how you pay your taxes the Federal Way. I looked at your tax records, and you pay taxes on a house.
You don't.
What's the problem?
You don't know what you're talking about. You don't know what you're talking about. Be quiet in this meeting.
Well, you know,
be quiet.
Your tax records are on the public record
Be quiet.
too, honey.
And as soon as I find you,
your tax
as soon as I find you on this sound meter, you know you're out of here.
Go ahead and put me on here. Why don't you lean me, Pauline?
You know you're out of here.
Why don't you lean me, Pauline? Lean me.
Well, state your name and nationality for the record.
Why don't you
state your name and address?
The Michigan number.
You figure it out.
But one thing they won't do is state their name and address.
Yeah.
He won't state his name and address.
He'll never
That's
do
what
that. He'll just keep going on and on and on and say, hey, lean some invisible person, lean an invisible person, and never do anything about it. Get out of here.
They're part of the odds. They're the
so we can lean you.
Yes, they're the
That's the thing we want, that they will not give. They're scared of those liens, though. The liens scare them like cray-cray.
You know what? I'm glad you brought that up. This is Sade. I just want to say something because I was talking to Melo yesterday, and there was a tweet that came out from Trump in April. I didn't realize it was April at the time. But in this tweet, he was stating, and I'm going to bring this up. I wanted to talk to you about this beforehand. I'm going to try to make it as quick as possible. But hold on. In this tweet, he was talking about, where is it? About, well, he made it seem like he was talking about the social media and the people that was doing bad things and talking about on social media. But when I analyzed the tweet, he was talking about us. And he was stating that he said all the media, all the fake news, we're given Nobel Peace Prizes, but he didn't say Nobel. He put Noble, N-O-B-L-E. And he didn't do that by mistake. He did it several times in his tweet. And he said that the Nobel Committee needs to come after them to get their prizes back. And he said, where's all the great lawyers around that is willing to step up to help out and do whatever as far as taking them to court, because he's mentioned something about, some type of suing or whatever, to get the prizes back to give to the real reporters. And he said if the Nobel Committee wants to a comprehensive list, I'll give them the list of who to come after. And he said you need to act fast. Now, he said that in April. That was right before we did, if I'm not mistaken, our new treaty and new constitution, because I know he was talking to us because he put Noble. And one of the Albions that was actually trying to break down his tweet, he said it. He was like, well, who is he talking to? It sounded like he's talking to, like he's saying royalty, because everybody know the nobles are, the form of royalty in their dictionary, how they would say
royalty for nobility.
Yeah, for nobility. So he was like, so who is he talking to when he's saying it? Because he said, we all know that he doesn't misspell words by mistake. He does it on purpose. And then that's when I realized, I said, well, what is he waiting for? So I'm like, it sounds like he's saying something to us. We normally say that they don't talk to us, but they may talk to you in code. They may do that. And when he did that, I said, well, what is he waiting for? But then when I realized it was April, I said, oh, that was right before you stated that everybody needed to do the new treaties and the new constitution. And I didn't know it at the time until speaking to Mayo yesterday. It dawned on me. And I said, right after that, we did that. And it sounds to me like the prize was everything that we're talking about, the kingdom. Coming to get the kingdom again. He's saying hello, basically saying the same thing we're saying. It's time to step up and to take the kingdom. And he said in the tweet and removed it right away.
When he's talking like that, he's sending out things to his Masonic brethren, telling them that this has already taken place. When he's talking like that, he's letting all of those Masonic brethren of his, the Templars and all of that, he's letting them know what's going on here with the heirs. He's letting them know what's going on with the heirs and where we are and what we're doing.
Right. That's right, because it didn't make sense any other way. Like, why are you worried about getting the Nobel Peace Prizes back from the fake news and telling people to act fast and great lawyers? What was that about? It just didn't make sense.
Yes.
You don't have the recording on yet.
Yes, I do. It's been on since a little earlier. Yeah, I went ahead and turned it on early. Yeah,
Islam. About that, what was said back in April, did anybody notice the Friday after he and his consort were supposedly being quarantined for COVID-19, when he came into the office to the press conference and right in front of everybody, he pulled off the mask and he said, this COVID-19 stuff is a fake. He said that as he was talking, and then he said, and that, in fact, if you look at the fight that's been going on since then between him and the so-called Republican Party and the so-called Demon Cat Party, that is the whole thing, because the Demon Cats came out and said that they're gonna go into a forced if they win the election, they're going to have to go into a forced vaccination program for everybody. And he said out that he's not going to do that. So those are interesting things. I hope that our Moors, sleeping Moors, and even those hybrids who are so indoctrinated would pay attention and recognize what's going on, that they're getting a lifeline thrown to them, but you know, they're not paying attention. Islam.
You know, it's a wrap. We got this because, you know, they're basically imploding. One minute they say one thing, and the next minute it's something different, which ought to tell us that that's not what's really going on, and that's not the government, because government speaks with one voice. So the energies have them going nuts like that. The energies have them going nuts. As of last week, which brings me to our first point, as of last week, we reached another major plateau. We keep going up, and then we learn some things on that plateau, and then we go up again, and we learn some things on that plateau. That's what the Grand Rising is we get to spend a little time on each of the plateaus as we learn how to navigate there, and then we go up again. And last week, as of October 13th, leading up to October 13th, and this place that we're at right now, many of us felt the energy shift. Many of us felt the energy shift firsthand. And that energy shift is, it feels different. And the way that it feels different, for some, they felt like they wanted to go within. And then for others of us, we are coming out even more so because we know what this means. What this next plateau is affirmation that we are indeed self-governing. And now we need to be looking forward to commerce and governing our own vast estate in the way that we know how to do it. And some of you may have seen between last night and today, I put out a little 2-minute video about where we're going in terms of commerce, and how even something as minor as having a tire change, let's just say you're on the side of the road and you need a tire change. If you call a foreign corporation, anyone who is doing business as a corporation, whether it's an LLC or no matter what it is, that's an international event, believe it or not. And I know, and that became clear to me yesterday, that it actually goes all the way down to that level as well, because if we're calling foreigners who are corporations, those are the ones that we're leaning and bringing into court because they're violating. And if there's any controversy that arises with regard to you and that foreigner that's on your land doing business, then that controversy must come to your court, the Sovereign Moorish American Consular Court, which is all Moors. We should not be taking any controversies to those fake corporate courts, because you already know what's going to happen. You already know what's going to happen. They're going to have a corporate board meeting on you because you think that they have some authority when they do not. And they're going to rule in the favor of their court and not the living being who does not know that they're not a court. Islam.
Yes, and just to actually double hump camelback that, the moment you walk into their facilities, or the facilities where they're holding their tribunals, you're guilty already. To actually start arguing that you're not guilty shows incompetence, because the only reason you would present yourself there is because you said, okay, I know I'm guilty and I'm going to pay. That's all you're going there for, to figure out the sum that you're going to pay. Otherwise, you send your writs, let it do its talking, and let them go ahead and play what they're doing while you go about the job of uplifting fallen humanity. Yes, them.
Yes. Islam.
Islam.
Islam. Islam. We are unstoppable. We are unstoppable. Period. We're unstoppable. There is nothing that can be done to stop the heirs. Absolutely nothing. So with this plateau, some have felt that they wanted to go within during the plateau, and that it's according to our birth chart is what we choose to do at this time. And then others have chosen to continue working and doing, and it's not that the ones that go within are not working, because they are working.
Islam.
And then some have chosen to, go ahead, Justice. Go ahead, Justice. And then some have chosen to continue working, outwardly as well as inwardly, to do both at the same time, and that's okay. Based on the work and demonstrations that we all have been doing as a nation, there comes a time when we settle into the tools and the defenses. Because see, we already know that we're able to get past and supersede these fake policy enforcers and fake judges. We've proven that already. And some are still proving it, and that's okay. Keep going. We're here for you. Some still feel that they have to go to those fake courts, and that's okay, because at some point you'll know that you're more powerful than that. And then that's what this energy change is. The energy change that we just experienced, this plateau that we just came up to, is one where we settle in to all that we know and demonstrate it regularly. It's a part of us now. Okay. Proclaiming our nationality, no matter where we go, is a part of us. It's just what we do. It's just a natural reaction. And it's not even a reaction, it's just a natural, that's the way we live. Is we proclaim who we are, and when we go out into the territories and someone is attempting to put codes and statutes on us, we just calmly tell them, no, we're not that. That's for you. That's not for me. And so that's where we are right now, is we've settled in to all that we learned thus far. And now we're moving forward, looking forward to now going into Moorish commerce, knowing that anytime we speak to any corporations that are doing business on our land, that it's an international event, and that if anything comes from that, it's done in our court and not theirs, which brings up the enforcement piece. We've been looking at the enforcement piece, and now we're manifesting the enforcement piece. Okay, we're manifesting it, knowing that we are our own enforcement. We are our own enforcement, and for us being our own enforcement, we must first terminate the corporate contracts, and we know this already. We've talked about this previously, but that's something that the ancestors have wanted us to continue to stress. We stress that just as much as we stress nationality, is termination of the corporate contracts on our land. And so now we're moving from, we've settled in to the tools that are our jurisdictional defenses. We've settled into that. So we know we have to do that. Every time, everywhere we go, that's what we're doing. And now we're moving into what some may consider the offensive, in terms of now looking forward to doing universal commerce among one another, because that other commercial structure has fallen.
Free sharing.
And we're glad about that. We're very excited about that. That that other structure has fallen. And now we're going into our
and you
own
paid your taxes
structure.
too.
Okay. We're going into our own structure, our own commerce, universal commerce with one another. And it's not, again, we have to be patient while we go through these, while we relearn how to do commerce with one another. And the foundation of our commerce with one another is going to be, of course, nationality first, and then termination of the corporate contracts, and then setting out sovereign charters for our companies and for our commerce that we do among one another. Is setting up our charters for that. And the first charter is always going to be the treaty, even among one another, because in reality the treaty has nothing to do with a corporation. It's about us and more of us. Those of us, there are more from other lands. And when we start doing commerce between us and the Moors from other lands, the indigenous nations of other lands, that's where the treaty is coming in at. Okay. And we have the authority to decapitalize the treaty among each one of us and write in how we want that treaty to, what we want it to say when we're dealing one with another. Okay. So we're now moving forward in that direction. A lot of times we speak positively, very, very positively about our nation. That is not to say that we're oblivious to all that's going on. In fact, we've been through all of that. And we've been there and done that. Now we're moving on, and that's what our optimism and our knowing is all about. Is we've been tested and tested and tested again, and you know, our ancestors never, ever, ever leave us hanging or let us down. Never. And so now we know that we can move forward confidently and competently in where commerce is concerned. It's going to be incumbent upon each one of us to prepare to do commerce as the head of whatever commerce we're doing. It's incumbent upon each one of us to prepare to be the head of whatever commercial venture we do. Because no one else, you know, you can work for other Moors if you know, because, and that's how this is going to work. But we should, with the number of Moors that are conscious and awake right now, we should all be preparing to be the head of whatever it is that we're doing. And that's not to say that everyone is made for that. You actually have to go within to see how that is done. The documents and the processes that are going to be coming out where commerce is concerned is going to be for those who are setting up as heads of commerce. Okay? And even if you're not the head, you still have to have, it's still going to be incumbent upon you to come out of that old system and be and be prepared to do commerce with Moors who are the heads, because we're all going to have needs, and we have those needs right now that other Moors have the ability to fulfill. Okay, we have been wanting to get off of those plantations, those colonized plantations called Job and Job, for a long time. A long time. And now this current situation is presenting us with no more Jobs, no more jobs.
Islam?
And that's a good thing. Islam.
What I've been sharing with the Moors that we talk about what to do, because I get asked a lot, how do I get a job or what do I do? One thing I am sharing with them is to let them know you could get a job or you could be an independent contractor. And in those two things, there's a vast difference. Because when you're an independent contractor, you could contract with another Moor, you could contract with anyone that you want to contract with, but there has to be equity in it. And so immediately one alters their condition and the condition of whoever it is they're working with. There has to be equity, there has to be, it has to be lawful, and people have to start remembering how to do things without being told by a boss or being told by an overseer. Just being their natural self, doing what they do. And the disciplines that we have to remember to, as we deal with this thing called time for a little bit still, you want to make sure that we're working at time on target in terms of whatever you're doing something, delivering something, whether it's a physical product or something that comes from the mind that you've put on paper, and thus the product. And what we have to remember is we need to get out of this copyright mindedness, because copyrights are the first way to start stealing rights from people.
The recording has started.
And they've done a lot of that, and we've been the recipient of losses on most of those for the time being. That means we don't need to repeat those things when we are doing contracts and doing commerce the way it should be done, because our commerce will not just span the continents and the 7 visible seas that we see here, but it'll span the multiverses. And more of the Moors who wouldn't say anything about that are starting to talk about it. They literally are now starting to talk about it not being one little Earth, but many biospheres and many ways to get there and come from there, and many other things to get there and come from there with. So people are finally, those who some people will listen to, who were not willing to bring out the real information, at least now they're starting to talk about it. And that is gratifying to see. Islam.
Islam, we have reached a new place in our nationhood and our government, our self-government. We've reached a new place. And it is good to see even those who may have thought, may have felt one way, they're starting to see that this is actually, it's really what we said it is. It's really what we said, and it's what we say it is. It's never going to not be that. We have been self-governing. We have been, everything has always belonged to us. It's just now we're manifesting that. So,
Islam.
Welcome. So, our job now is actually going to be continuing to decolonize and to restore our vast estate. That's our job from this point forward. Okay. And how we do that and how we stay together as we do that, which is what we're doing, is going to be key. All we have to do is keep doing what we're doing. Okay. So, go ahead. Go ahead, Empress. Okay. Hopefully, they're not trying to say something without, and while they're muted. Hopefully. So, this new commerce and this milestone and looking forward, it's going to be important also to keep our energies focused on forward, moving forward, looking forward at Moorish commerce, doing commerce with Moors who are proclaimed and declared. And the groundwork is already laid for that to happen. And then we have to be prepared to enforce what we say and do in this new economy. The economy has already switched over. It's done. All that we said a year ago has already taken place. And we can tell by the way things are going that that's true. So, and that's a great thing. That's what we've been waiting for. We've been looking for this moment, waiting for this moment, where we could move into being the heads of our own selves first and our own vast estate second, which we are the vast estate. So, are there any questions about how to do that? Because where we go from here is preparing to charter, each one of us to charter our company. And you can pick any company out there or any name corporation and decapitalize it and then start doing whatever it is that they were doing, however you prefer to do that. So those who were doing computer work can be, if you choose to be Microsoft in all lowercase letters or Apple in all lowercase letters, you can start doing business that way. In all lowercase letters on Moorish government letterhead, you sure can. However you choose to do that. And so now when we call Apple, we'll get a Moor instead of someone doing business as American when they're not really American. Okay.
You mean a Moor instead of a moron?
All of that, yes. A Moor instead of a moron. So however you choose to do that, whatever you're good at, whatever you are good at, you can do it that way, or you can come up with with your own sovereign company name if you want to do that, however you choose to do it. And allow the ancestors to lead you in how to do that, because ancestral energy is going to be the key in knowing what to do next. And when situations arise, we can talk about them as a nation, and then you still have to go within and determine what's the best way to overcome any tests that you might be having. There's nothing in our way, absolutely nothing. So when you think about former barriers such as the SEC in all capital letters, or who else is it? Those that used to come into the restaurants and inspect the restaurant and shut you down if you didn't pay them. We don't have those barriers. We have Moors who do that, and then Moors who are going to be opening restaurants and things like that. We must police ourselves so that our restaurant is clean, and so that Moors will want to come in, so that it has the best service. So we're talking commerce now. We're talking Moorish commerce, because that's where this is all going. We will do it ourselves. But remember, we taught them how to do it. We taught them how to do it. That's where they learned. And in our business and commercial establishments that are Moorish chartered and operated, no, we don't.
What would your sister Donna say about you doing that?
They don't tell us what to do, what to wear, all of that, about masks and all of that. That's just not.
So he said Jamal Bay. See Jamal Bay.
Yeah, I see him. Memphis. I got him out. I mean, they don't tell us what to do. They don't tell us where to go, and that's where a lot of that energy is coming from, is that we've escaped the clutches.
Who is that?
We've escaped the clutches. And now that we've escaped the clutches, the worst they can do is slander. So they're not even our focus anymore. Our focus is full speed ahead with our nation, our government, our commerce, etc. And how you proceed in commerce and how you set up your charter in commerce and what you accept as payment in commerce is going to have a lot to do with what the ancestors have revealed to you and shown you about that. I will say this, I got a little bit of a hint yesterday from the ancestors with regard to the transfer back and forth of sovereign credit. Because as you know, banks now, those things that were previously doing business as banks are nationalized when we cut the corporate umbilical cord or the vampire fangs out of our neck and cut and terminate the contract and then say, okay, that is a sovereign resource account. It looks the same as a bank account, but it's not the same because we're managing and governing it. And one thing I noticed about that is I was talking to an empress yesterday, and some of you, and we knew we had the ability to do this, but it's clearing up a few things where you can call her on the phone and give a number over the phone, and she is able to transfer credits into her sovereign credit account from your sovereign credit account. just by doing something over, just by giving some numbers over the phone. We want to look into that and harness that information and see where we can use it in coming together.
May I interject?
Sure.
It's actually, it's actually even easier than just calling. Let me see what they call those, the QR codes that are on, usually you see them like, if you're looking at the Cash App, there's a code, it's in a block. And if you take your camera, your phone, and take a picture of that code, it takes all the information from that code and then it sends it directly to your account without having to go through, the bank. So it's from peer to peer, just like, which is where I see everything is heading. And like I said, all you got to do is just take a snapshot of the code, which has all the information in it, and it sends it right to your account right away. So, that being said, I yield.
So we need to continue to look at that, Empress, because there's something in the block, that square that you're referring to. And I don't see why we cannot figure out what's in the block or figure out the mechanism that is used to transfer the energy, the currency. It's not difficult. I know it's not difficult. I can feel it. I feel that it's very, very simple. But we need to be able to originate the ones and zeros.
Right.
We need to be able to originate them.
You create the account, the numbers, the ones and zeros, or whatever.
Hold on, Justice.
I just need to clear up something. It's ones and aughts, not ones and zeros. Zeros have no value.
Ones and aughts.
Islam.
So we need to be able to originate them.
Right.
I need to be able to upload 10,000 sovereign credits or 100,000 sovereign credits so that I can transfer those sovereign credits to any of the Moors or whatever it is that they have.
This is the reason why I'm looking for more people who are, skilled in computers as far as creating programs, because all you do is just create the account number. You take that account number that has all the information in it, and then the computer will transfer it into that block code that you would use to transfer it back and forth between each other. So it's just.
And see, the thing about numbers is numbers can't be capitalized. That's why they always put a capital letter name to it, so that they can claim whatever is coming in on that number.
So instead of saying numbers, should we be saying aughts and zeros? Okay, not zeros, aughts, ones and aughts.
We can call it numbers.
Numbers.
Remember, when we speak, we're not even speaking corporate English. We're speaking ancient English. That's evident by every time we go into those state courts. They act like they don't know what we're talking about. We're not speaking the same language. We can say ones and zeros, or ones and aughts, or ones and aughts. Numbers. Numbers.
Islam.
Numbers, yeah.
We can use the word numbers. That's our word too. Islam.
Yeah. Islam.
Islam, talking about numbers, there are 10 numbers in math. 10 numbers. Not one of them is a zero, because a zero means nothing. If you take a 1 and you put 5 zeros after it, you've got a 1 and 5 zeros. If you take a 1 and then you put an ought after it, you have a 10 because the ought actually will bring out 9. It's because the numbers are from ought, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Those are the 10 numbers in math. And it's not a joke. Or we have been dummified and we've been stupidified to call it 0. How the heck? And because we call it that, we believe that and we think that and we create it. That's why we create all the the zeros in our
So instead of saying ought, and you're saying, no, instead of saying 0 and you're saying ought, so
no, it is important to say that, and again, this is something that I'm not saying it because I like it. I'm saying it because I know what the numbers mean now, and I caught on to it and started correcting that in speech and thought. It's important.
I understand what you're saying. I'm just wanting to get a clearer understanding of the ought represented as a number instead of a 0.
What does your Quran tell you about
and then
what is ought?
we do want to kind of stay on that going back to being able to transfer those between one another.
Yeah.
We want to, because that's important. That's the one piece that seems to be missing in all of this. It's like we have everything except the ability to transfer ones and zeros between each other, or ones and oughts between each other, or numbers between each other, so that we can get what we need and place a sovereign value on it.
Yes.
That's the part, that's the one piece right there.
Exactly.
Oh, there he is.
That everyone seems to be putting energy towards finding.
Exactly.
But we've not gotten there yet.
Yeah. Well, it's actually there. It's just figuring it out. How it works.
Yes. Being able to create them.
Yes. Exactly.
Islam nobility.
Yes, you're referring to the ledger, do the transaction, in which we have our own a ledger.
Yes.
Just a moment, Justice Jeremore. Hold on. Go ahead, Justice. You said, are we familiar with the ledger?
Yeah, you're referring to the ledger, referring to the credit. The transfer from one peer-to-peer, one device to the next.
Yes.
And which sounds like a blockchain to me, and where the information is actually stored and it's to the public. That means also too that we have to have our own exchange.
Okay, so that is correct. That's exactly what we're looking at, establishing where we can upload the numbers to that and then transfer it back and forth to one another. That's what we're looking for, that piece. So, are you, go ahead, Justice, go ahead.
No,
I'm
aware of it where you need a coder. I can't talk about it at this moment, but in the near future, I'll probably say some more about it. But there's some things that are going on where we'll have a platform where we can do transactions in a form of ledger credit. And I would say they're out there. There's in the workings for that. That's what I can say. I yield.
I can feel that, and I know for a fact that there are several more who are working on that. We wanted it to be outside of any corporate conveyance methods in terms of we don't want the corporates to be able to do anything with regard to that. And whatever it is needs to be able to tie into the current sovereign credit system that was formerly called a banking system so that we can go right down the street to the grocery store and swipe our card and use it to get whatever our estate has for us there without corporate intervention or interference. But it would have to be used a specific way. In terms of when you go to the grocery store, you can't go to a register where there are corporate people standing there. You have to ring up your own items, and you also have to make it so that no corporate person steps in between you and that resource. And that's another reason why more have to open their own grocery stores and everything like that, is because we will make it so that there's no corporate covering being put over our estate and the things that no corporate person standing in between us and the resource. That's why we have to have our own grocery stores. Because did you know that whenever something as simple as going to the grocery store is the equivalent whenever a cashier puts their all caps name on the top of a receipt saying that they rung this up and hi and have a good day, Nancy was your cashier, they're actually putting a corporate covering over the transaction so that they can get a piece of it. That's the issue that we're having with that. And it's not an issue because I just don't go to them unless it's absolutely, during this transitionary period, every blue moon we find ourselves in a situation where we have to use them, but 99.999% of the time, I'm doing it myself with none of their interference.
Islam. This is Justice Malika Kilbay. I just had a question. Well, just some concerns regarding the ledger technology and us being able to access that. Now, from what I read some information recently where it said that one of the key components I found out that we need is a digital identity. And once we establish that digital identity, upload the information, and it seems to me we have enough information already on the public record. But once we establish that digital identity on the public record, that should be our key to accessing that ledger. I yield.
Okay. That's a good point.
Yes.
Go ahead, Empress Janaya.
Well, when you said establishing our identity, I'm thinking of a MAC number, which would establish our identity. Other than that, as far as them getting and using your identity under the corporate is what we have to be careful about. I yield.
Islam, you actually hit on where I was going to go with all of that. With the digital identity, among our nation, we have already established digital identities because our sovereign identity is who we are. We don't even have to establish any other identity outside of who we are. We can use MAC numbers or we can use sovereign security numbers, which is the number that I prefer to use. My sovereign security number is a creditor number that has no dashes in it, and it happens to be the same format of numbers as a Social Security number, but a Social Security number is a debtor number issued by the U.S. corporation company, which we will never use because we're not going to have any dashes in our number. Our number is a creditor number because it's a positive number and not a negative number. Dashes make numbers negative. That's what makes a debtor, is that there's something being taken away. And sovereigns don't have anything being taken away because we have no debt. So you can use a sovereign security number or you can use a MAC number. So our identity is still the same. It's still sovereign, and it's still who we are. There's no change in who we are as the sovereign, original, indigenous heirs to everything in all lowercase letters. You know, so we've already, so the infrastructure, Justice, is already there for what you're saying. A digital identity, the infrastructure is already there. We have it already.
Okay, now I guess we need to figure out how we upload that to the ledger so that we can transfer our energies in tokens or tokenize that you know, our identities.
Yes, that's the part right there. Because it's through the sovereign token system that we'll be able to upload at any time, any amount, and then send that amount to the other heirs, etc.
Absolutely.
That's the piece right there that we are still waiting for the ancestors to show us.
Islam.
You know. So I think if we continue to talk about it and continue to study it and put our energies towards it, the ancestors will give it to us. Because, see, it looks like, and I'll say, Empress Clarice Bay, I continue to mute you because there's a lot of stuff going on in your background, okay? But with regard to that whole piece, it looks like the Albions have got that piece, but they don't have it because all they're doing is mimicking what our ancestors put in place. The blockchain is ancient. It's not new. It's ancient. They got that from us. And so we need to know how to expose that infrastructure and put it into work for us. Islam, I see in the chat, Empress, she's saying we need as many computer techs as we can use. Islam, we're all computer techs already. That's how we got to this meeting.
All right, okay. I'll withdraw my statement.
Islam.
Communication platform. Yes, we need that.
It's all we need to do is know where. Just point me to where I can put those ones in aught or not, those whatever, the ones in aught, and I'll put them there.
Well,
so
I guess
that's the part that the bank co-opted, that the fake bank, the corporates co-opted. They co-opted that part. They took that part, and they made it so that just from right where they're sitting, they made it look like they're the ones who can put in the ones and zeros at any time. So when we bring them an autograph instrument in the past, in our fleet, they would just take that instrument and they would say, oh, okay, it's an instrument for $4,276. Well, that's what they said to us, but it was in all capital letters. And then they would type a few, put that number in on the computer system. And then when we went online, we would see that and be able to send some of that to the grocery store and take some of that, it's on our card already, and go back and forth in commerce, in a corporate commerce that way. But then when, you know, so that's the part that we're looking to the ancestors to give us. Because we already know that whenever we do that, all they do is put a corporate covering over something we did already. When we have 4,000 credits, the credits are ours already because we're the creditors, but they put a covering over that. And they say, okay, well, you came to Bank of America Corporation and you deposited that into this account, and so now we have control over it. And our job is going to be to know how to put those credits into our sovereign resource account, and then use it at whatever resource we need to use it. However we need to use it. That's what we're looking to find out and looking to uncover, because I know that the system, the infrastructure is there already. We've put everything in place for that to be the case, and now it just needs to be uncovered. Our ability to do that needs to be uncovered. And I see the inner workings of it, because there are some of us who can, like, I can pick up the phone and call some Moors who are doing business and give them a number, and they can put the credit into their account already. They can put the credits into their account just from whatever I tell them over the phone, whatever sequence of numbers I give them over the phone. And that's without them having to talk to any corporate person. What they do is call a number, and this automated thing comes in, and they put those numbers into that automated system. And when they put those numbers into that automated system, it uploads everything, just like they told them, based on what the information that we gave them. So we need to figure out that piece and how to make that piece go. How to control that piece where we're able to upload the credits and then send them to our brothers and sisters who are doing business.
Yes, Islam. I agree, but the part I'm talking about is there's some of the language that's in the computer system that it's going to have to change. And that's what some of the other Moors are working on right now. Other than that, it's best, not to, I guess, talk too much about it. At least I don't want to, other than until I get more information. But it's going to require some computer technicians to go in and change some of the language within the system. That being said, I yield.
I believe that the language is already there. That's what I believe. And in my knower, I know it's there because the corporations have been using it, pretending to be us. But they needed our consent to do that. And now that we've taken our consent away and they can't do that, everything has ground to pretty much to a halt. And so we need to commandeer that part. The ancestors have to show it to us. The language is there. The coding is there.
Hey, Pauline,
because,
what do you think Lucille and
they've
Donald
been pretending to use it. They've been pretending to use it.
KCL.
So whatever it is that they were covering up, it's been there the whole time, and we need to figure that part out.
Yes, I was reading in the chat. I can't pronounce his appellation, but where he says,
"What about your parents, Lucille and Donald?
It sounds like we will need to develop.
Keep talking. Go ahead.
Parents, Lucille
we will need to develop our own servers and some coding, and so this is the kind of thing that I'm talking about that's going to have to be changed as far as getting our own servers, our own system, because the system, the way it's set out, the wording within the system right now is all designed for the corporate. So.
And to me, that's the answer, though. You see what I'm saying? As the way that I'm looking at it, that's the answer. We just have to be in that position, whatever position they previously held, where they could tell that system what to do by trickery, by tricking us into consent. We need to be looking at whatever they use, whatever gave them that. See, we gave them the authority to sit there and put the ones and zeros in the system. And we just now that we've bumped them out of the way, we need to now be able to put in there. Islam, Empress Brianna.
What we're talking about is called back-end banking.
Islam?
That's what we're looking for. It's called back-end banking.
Yes, exactly.
I yield.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you for the language, for the thought that I'm trying to convey. It's
okay.
back-end banking.
Islam.
I knew somebody would know. Islam.
I wrote several pieces of an equation in the chat. Fairly simple, but if anyone takes them and puts them together and start thinking about them, because I have to say this, if we don't think differently, we cannot do differently, and we must correct that language every time. How the heck could we take over banking in the world and the worlds, and we don't even know the very things that we are talking about? You know, when we talk about the secret of the number 9, secrets of the number 9, people should pay attention to that, because one of the secrets of the number 9 is that after 9 comes what? A hole. But the other secret of the number 9 is that it starts with a fraction of 1 of 10 parts. And if you notice, at the end of the 9, what we call 10 is a 1 and an ought.
So,
and that is higher than all the fractions behind it.
Can I put it a different way?
We must pay attention to this. Look, it is not just to talk, okay? This might sound like it isn't important, but you keep talking it, and you keep talking baby talk. We have to fix that. If we don't fix it, okay, I'll shut up.
Islam. What is ought?
Be assured.
Islam.
Okay. I'm sorry. Hold on for just a moment. Hold on for just a moment, because there's some things that have come up that we need to talk about, because we want to stay on topic. We know that there's number magic going on. We know that. Just Empress Portia, can you expand just a little on digital and analog comment that you made in the chat? Just a little bit on the language needing to go from digital to analog. Yes, we can hear you, Empress.
Okay. Well, I know that the Albion is digital. I mean, they refuse to face the spiritual aspect of everything. And this discussion here, we are getting away from digital. And to make it from, we have to go within, like you said. So the language is pointing to the spiritual. I don't want to sound like I'm rambling or anything, but it looks like we need to go into metaphysics. The justice earlier was talking about the number 9 and the numbers. All of that points to metaphysics. So, I mean, you know, we have to approach this from a different standpoint, where the Albion will not go. He will not go into the spiritual.
He can't go to the spiritual.
What is this talking about?
I mean, I don't want to confuse anybody. We are still talking about banking. And
yes,
so we just need to get into, we have to incorporate that along with this. This whole journey that we're going to is pushing us to the spiritual realm. We are being pushed to that. So I yield.
Islam.
If there's any questions.
So, Empress, I hear what you're saying about the digital and analog, because when things were analog, they felt real. They felt like the living.
Well, that's what I meant by the digital and the analog. Now, the digital is pixelated and squared off and fake, and the analog is flowy and is real and natural. It's us. It's real life. So that's where this banking is going to have to go to. It's going to have to become from digital to analog.
Yes. That's so true. That is very, very true.
Yeah. And
analog is that's. Go ahead, Empress. I'm sorry.
Well, one thing that we're familiar with is this 5G technology, which is digital, but we're also spiritually elevating to the fifth dimension. And 5G, again, is digital, but 5D is analog. It's spiritual. So that's the direction we have to go. And I know a lot of us may not want to go there. Well, let me not speak for everybody, because I think we want to. But
I think we do want to go there.
Yes, we do. We do. That's why I said let me not speak for everyone, because we do want to go there. That's where we need to go.
Yes.
Yes, I yield.
Islam, thank you so much for that, Empress. Empress Jonai, you wanted to say something?
Yes, I wasn't disagreeing with Juramore. I was getting somewhat of an understanding from what he was saying when he says ought, and I'm trying to, I guess, clarify the significance of ought. And the way I was going to clarify it was that ought being a circle which turns upon itself, so that completes the numbers. It completes the number. The ought is it's everything, as opposed to being nothing. So is that correct, Jeremore?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
I just wrote something in here again to point out. If you notice, ought 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 are all force sigils. My thing changed it and said it was singular. Okay, the sigils. Ought is the most force of all the other 9 sigils.
Yes.
Ought then must be what all the others are coming out from. If it was 0, it could put nothing out. This is what binary code and things you're talking about. Yes, I did networking, and I could fractionalize an ought and a 1 into as many networks as you want to. You can fractionalize it to millions and billions and trillions of networks, each one with its own addressing structure. So when I'm saying this, I'm saying we have to start thinking this way. If we will change our state, we must change our language. And that's the reason why I keep saying it. if we're starting to talk money, we need to start speaking odds and the other numbers and stop speaking zeros. That's what we were taught to do. And every time we do it, we dig a deeper hole for ourselves. And when they hear us, they're rolling over laughing when they hear us talk about zeros and ones. And they know it's odds and ones. Islam.
Okay. So now we need to make that translate or transfer, or
yes,
we need to enjoin that with the discussion of analog back-end banking. Am I listening? Am I hearing? I believe I am.
Yes. Because as I wrote earlier, all of these numbers other than odd are fractions of odd. And the binary coding is taking each one, fractionalizing it as many times as you want, and mixing those because they are sigils. Each of the sigil, and when combined, sigil 1 and 2 will give you 3. And then sigil 1, 2, and 3 will give you 6. Sigil 4 and 5 will give you 9. 9 and 6 will give you 15. But these numbers are so important. If we can't speak them, we can't know them, because whatever we speak, that's what we're putting out.
Jeremy, can you do a class on that?
Islam?
Can you do a class on that? Banking and
yes, I have done several, and I'm willing to do those. In fact,
with the odds
we speak about it all the time. But these things are important. Don't think I'm trying to take anything off the subject. This is so unsubject, it's not funny at all. It is the subject that we're dealing with.
We understand you. That we know. You're going right there. We're not disagreeing with you, brother.
Right.
Islam.
Okay, to close it all up, just think about this. When a woman gets pregnant, at the beginning of at the conception, it's all still ought, because it's truth. Now, it goes to 1 month. That's one part of the whole, is what we call the month. Remember, it's supposed to have 28 days in each month. And then you go to 2 months, 3 months, 4 months. You're going through these. And what you're doing is taking sigils and combining. And in this sense, these same numbers, they work the same way in combinations of what we call, guess what we call it? We call it the blastocyst, which is how the fetus grows by multiplying exponentially. So it's not just adding that these things work. They work by dividing, by subtracting, because you can subtract 1 from 2 leaves 1. But if you subtract what you call a 0 from 1, you still have 1. If you subtract a 0 from 9, you still have 9. In fact, you can't subtract an ought from 9 because ought is bigger than 9. So 9 cannot contain ought. Ought contains 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And at the end of that time, what happens? We call it birth. And then another whole one comes out. But ought is truth. You don't have to take my word. Read the Quran. Ought is everything, not is nothing. And not is what we represent as zero. Islam.
Islam. So, from this point, now that we know that zero and ought are not the same.
Correct. Islam.
And I actually, you know me, the first place I go is a dictionary or an etymology book. And of course, we've known this, but we'll just say it here openly, zero. Zero is naught or nothing. It's nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And it is the antithesis of ought.
Of ought, exactly.
It is the antithesis of it. It is the Libra.
The questionary.
Ought and not are Libra. They're balanced one to another. Yes.
Islam.
So analog back in banking. That is that's the piece that we are uncovering as a nation. Among other things, again, the spiritual is absolute. You can't get to analog back in banking without your spirit being right. Just be aware of that. That that the energy will not give us that peace without everything being right spiritually. So that's important.
Yes, in that case, we are the ones that are going to have to do it.
Yes, we have to do it.
Put it in there.
Yes,
I yield.
Yes. Islam. That is the point, is that we have to do it. No one else can do that. And so that's the part that we are getting to right now. And here's the thing. We wouldn't even be thinking along these lines if the ancestors were not about to show us what that is. There are some out there who already know, but I know for sure that it has to come from us. It can't come from anywhere else. It has to. And it will. It's here already. Because we put everything else in place. Everything else in place being the Moors are ready where commerce is concerned. The Moors are ready where the spiritual aspect is. We know that the spiritual, where Grand Sheik talks about sincerity, and he talks about unselfishness. Everything that we do starts there. Empress Valerie, that is absolutely truth in alignment. Analog is sound waves. And sound waves are vibratory, and so is sincerity. And so is unselfishness. And so is love and truth and peace and freedom and justice. Those are vibratory. Just like with the 7 Hermetic principles, yes, Islam in the chat. Vibrations, pure heart, frequencies, all of that in the chat, yes. That's the key, actually, to the estate in reality. We're talking about analog back-end banking. I know that's the truth. And here's the thing I know about digital is an artificial, not an artificial, but it's without analog, digital would not exist. Because everything starts with that. Everything starts with that piece right there. And analog starts on the land. Analog technologies are buried.
Islam?
Islam.
What it's saying is digital is fractional. Because that's what it does. It's fractional with that is how you're able to build from the smallest particle to the largest cosmos with fractional thinking, which is the process of forming in the mind that which we see as a whiteboard that we're working on. But again, that is the science that's in the third, fourth, fifth science of vibrational mechanics. So it's above the stuff that we deal with in the Kybalion, but Kybalion is introducing me to that. But all we have to remember is that we are all that. We just forgot so much and think we're not much. But we are. Every one of us. And the reason I always will speak up, because I recognize every one of you is my peer. Absolutely knowing everything I know, but not currently remembering it.
Islam.
That's all. So that's what we work together to get done. Islam.
Well, that's the purpose of these calls is we have to uncover. We have to uncover. We must uncover, and we can only do that together. Islam.
Islam. Peace and love.
Go ahead, Justice.
Mikhail Tunakael Bay. One of my thoughts are that when you're talking to both sleeping Moors and conscious Moors about two of the biggest concerns, and the commerce and credit piece is one, but then is the domicile. And so when you were talking about taking over these corporate constructs and disfixing them, so I was thinking about property management, what I'm in, but a lot of our people are in apartments and things like that. So to, lean and take over that head of that corporation that's running, properties and things like that, just to get this out there so we can, kind of meditate on that, of how that would look on us, taking over that whole piece, or, because there are kind of so many different companies and different property management companies and things like that that's running. And that's what most people are concerned about, is their finances and where they're going to domicile. With that idea.
Islam. So I'll give you what the ancestors gave me about how that will look. And how that's going to look is this. And I am unlocking the meeting just momentarily because I just saw someone who got dropped, and I know they're going to want to come back in. How that's going to look is this. Any of the ones, those fake corporations doing business as property management or realty companies, what we would do is we would decapitalize that company. So let's just say Remax Realty. We would decapitalize that company, and then what we would do is one of us decapitalizes a bank, or one group of us decapitalizes a bank, which we've done that. Another group of us decapitalizes a realty company, and a third group of us decapitalizes as well, we've terminated corporate contracts and we're wanting to claim that property. And so the way it would look is that the one who wants to claim the property will come to the Moors who are the
what about Lucille and Donald?
who are doing the banking, and say, I'm interested in, go to the realty company and say, okay, this Moorish Realty Company, I'm interested in that property right there. So what do I need to do? Okay, and the Moor who's interested in the property goes to the Moorish Realty Company and talks with them about doing all of the things that the previous fake corporations would do, as in inspections and all of that. We'll arrange that, but it has to be arranged with other Moors who are doing that. And that's why it's important for us Moors to come together, and those who do realty work will get with those who do inspection work, and we'll get with those who do repair work. And the Moorish realtor would arrange all of that. The Moorish realtor would arrange all of that. And meanwhile, the Moorish who is buying would then do their homework and their research on the property too, because we never go into any contract without, with other Moors, without knowing, without doing our homework. Okay. And then when that Moor does, and when that Moor then goes to the Moorish bank and says, okay, Moorish bank, I need you to look at the numbers on that property and see what's available. And what the Moorish bank will do is they can look at the corporate debt that was on that property, which is not Moorish debt, but that's just to give us an idea of things like market value and things like that, because we're going to take what the corporates did and transfer it as credit to the Moors. Okay, and so the Moorish bank will say, okay, the market, what we worked out with the realty company, and they didn't work it out, it's just numbers that are there that anyone can look up, is that we're going to, the Moorish bank is going to convert all of the debt associated with that property to credit. And when the bank converts, the Moorish bank converts the debt to credit, then the domicile those numbers can be presented to the Moor who's interested in claiming the property, along with a allodial title. Okay, and the bank has already done all of the work where the property is concerned in terms of allodial title and all of that from the previous. So the bank has to pick up whatever corporate paper was there, fake corporate paper, and rebut that corporate paper. That's what the Moorish bank does, is rebut all corporate crap. And then present the Moor who wants to claim the property, present that Moor with a clean property, allodial documents, and say, okay, you're starting from scratch with this property. It has no debt on it because the bank has cleared all of that debt. All corporate debt's been cleared. We're not claiming it, we're rebutting it to clear it. That way, the Moor is getting the property from the Moorish bank. Because, see, corporate banks that's why they can't claim property. They can't hold property. The Moors are the ones who do that. And so the Moor will get the property free and clear from the bank so that they can work between the Moor who wants to buy it, the realty company, the Moorish realty company, and the sovereign Moorish bank, because they're all sovereign. This is not between corporates at all. In fact, all we do is tell the corporates, you're out of here. Lien the corporate tell them all of their paperwork and everything has been properly rebutted. So the bank will rebut all corporate claims on that, and that will clear the way so that the Moore can then send or produce or originate fresh documents on that property and a fresh claim and fresh allodial title. So between the bank, the realty company, and the Moore, the whole transaction, the whole exchange is sovereign. That's how it's supposed to work. That's what it will look like. And that's where the analog back-end banking comes from. The bank will clear all corporate BS off of our land, and then the Moores will have fresh, clear, allodial everything. So it's the bank's job to decapitalize whatever the property is, and it's the Moore's job to decapitalize and decolonize his own life so that he can enter into sovereign commerce. And then it's the realty company's job to ensure that whatever the property is, that it is fit for nobility. That's what it's going to look like. That's what it looks like. That's what sovereign commerce looks like. And then that way, the Moore can put the property in their trust, the sovereign property in their trust. And then all of the documents that the bank, everything that the bank has done, and everything that the realty company has done, and everything that the Moore has done goes on the public record by each one of those Moorish sovereign entities. And then that place is properly, decolonized, decapitalized, and fully sovereign. Now, that's what I see as how our sovereign commerce is to go. It's only supposed to be between the Moors, and all we're telling the corporations is you're done. You're finished. It's all fraud. We rebut it. And then we just notify them that we rebutted it. And then we send the Moorish vanguard sheriff, the Moorish sharif, to deliver those documents to whomever is, locally in that territory. Deliver the documents that the bank or the Moorish, and you need a court order. So the Moor who is claiming the property needs to do a court action on the property. And that way, and get a copy of that court action to both the realty company and the bank. So it's going to happen the same way it's been happening with the corporate, except it's all sovereign. And with that sovereign, whenever we see a property that we want, we do a court action, we do a lien, we make sure that we've terminated all corporate contracts and properly proclaim, and proclaim our nationality. And then we say, okay, Moorish Realty Company, these are the documents that I have put forward on the claim on that property. Can you give me all of the prior information on it, and I'll take that prior information in terms of any fake corporate claims. We'll take that to the Moorish Bank and let the Moorish Bank clear up all of that mess. And then the Moorish Bank will say, okay, this property is cleared up. Everything is clear. The title is clear. And in terms of clear title, we have clear title anyway. So the bank will really just be saying that any previous claims done by the corporate is already taken care of. We've notified all former banks and all of that, because that's what the banks do. The banks will talk to the fake corporate banks, and we're not really talking to them. We're just telling them that you have no claim here. That's what the banks do. The realtors the Moorish realtors send notification to the fake realtors saying, we're the real realtors, you're the fakes, you have no claim here. And then the Moor can send notification to the fake ones claiming to be owners. Okay, that's what I see as sovereign commerce. So those who are in banking will do the analog back-end banking that we talked about. And just as Yisrael put in the chat, yes, the bank is the bench anyway. The bank is really the bench. And so the bank will keep track of all banks that it has liened and done court actions on. So the banking group must do court actions on all banks and all transactions. And believe it or not, that's what they've been doing the whole time. That's the part we did not see. That's why whenever there is a financial issue, it goes into a bankruptcy court, quote unquote, because they've been doing court actions behind our backs. And that's why our Moorish courts are so important. Everything we claim must have a court action on it. And that is how we see the sovereign commerce manifesting. So decapitalize, decolonize, and then claim properly. And that analog back-end banking, the banking team, those who are going to be doing sovereign banking processes and things like that. Not everybody rush to banking at once, but that's the part that has to be, that the ancestors are going to show us. Yes, Empress Portia put in the chat, our court actions put the case on the public record and not hidden. Absolutely, yes. And that is actually how proper claim is made. Proper claim is made publicly by court, by a sovereign court. And that's why our consular venues and our United States of America and all lowercase letters courts are so important. The United States courts in all lowercase letters, not the uppercase, not the corporate, not the courts, none of that. We're not that. But in all lowercase letters in red, that's where actions come in between the heirs. That's where commerce comes in between the heirs. And it's not that we're taking one another to court, it's we're establishing proper commerce and competent commerce. Okay? And that starts with getting rid of those corporates. Get rid of the corporate and establish our commerce properly. That's how commerce is done. And that needs to be done on the court, on the public record. So those who need domiciles, you actually have to be the ones to be the realty company and the bank and all of that in your territory. We have to come together, and the bank doesn't necessarily have to be in your territory. It could be in any other territory, but it must be lawful commerce. Yes, Justice You're in the chat. Lawful commerce done by those who are the law and by those who are the government, and no one else. No corporate, no corpses, no subjects, no servants, no slaves. That slaves cannot own property. And that's where we're going. So the video that we put out is a 2-minute video. It's just a sovereign service announcement, just to kind of put forth, cast the spell and break the spell on the public record, stating that this is where we're going and this is what we're going to be talking about. And this is what we're going to be manifesting in the next few days, weeks, months, etc., is the sovereign lawful commerce. And that's the reason why we do those types of videos, is to cast the spell on the corporates and to break the spell where the Moors are concerned, so that we know that this is where we're going.
Islam?
And most Moors already know where we're going, but that's where those who are still asleep, it's going to break the spell on them as well. Islam, Justice You're.
And that is covered in the saying that when someone draws a circle around you, they are taking you in their control. How do you handle it? You draw a bigger circle around that circle. And the biggest circle is that one that we call ought. It really is what the circle is all about the church and all that. Remember, the church is a circle. All of it.
Yes.
So it all ties together. And Islam.
Someone put asking about a specific bank being a de jure mortgage bank in the chat. Did you have to use fiat to join it? That's the question, and that will tell you whether it's de jure or not. Or did you use sovereign credit? Do they use capital letters in their documents? That matters. All of that matters. All of that makes the difference. Those are the markers to look for. Those are the markers to look for. Is you know, do they want you to fill out a corporate form to join their bank? Or is it joined by affidavit, or how does that work? And did you have to prove nationality to join it? Did you have to show nationality to join it? Did you have to be a declared Moor to join? That will tell you whether it's de jure or not. You must be a sovereign, original, indigenous national, Moorish American national. That's how you know. And yeah, so those are some things to look for. And then if there's if they say you have to pay 25 Federal Reserve debt notes to join, then that's a little bit of a clue right there. That's not really where you want to go. So I won't say the name of the bank in the mentioned, but because those are that's what we look for all of them. Do you have to pay fiat to get in there? And again, do your own homework. Don't listen to anyone but your own higher self. And that way you will know what's going on with it. Doesn't matter where the information comes from. You should be doing your own study. Doesn't matter who talked about it previously. Do your own study. Because even our greatest teachers will tell you, do your own study. Don't take our word for anything. And when I say our, I mean any. Don't take anyone's word for anything. Do your study. Yes, we listen to one another, and we network and share energies that way, but do your own study. And that's another issue right there. That should tell you right there that they're leading, that anyone telling you to go to corporate Bank of America, why are they telling you that? If they're really the bank, why would they send you to a corporate bank? Do your own study, like I said. And again, we're in transition right now. So I'm not bashing anybody. We're in transition, and we're all, coming out of that whole corporate piece. But while you're coming out, do your study. And when you see corporate stuff, run. Run and proclaim nationality, invoke jurisdiction, all of that. Terminate corporate contracts at every chance you get. Do it, just as a suggestion, so you can't tell the heirs what to do. Islam. Are there any other questions or comments? So again, over the next few days, weeks, if you get any information about analog back-end banking, bring it to the call so that we can talk about it. Write it down, send it to me in email about analog back-end banking and how to put that together and ways that we can make that manifest. Bring it to the calls and we'll talk about it and see about manifesting and implementing it as well, because that's where we are going next, Islam. And if there are no other questions or comments or any other things to add to this, Islam.
I just wanted to know if anyone here does a nationality card, because I tried to get one. I would like to get one.
Islam. I know Justice Abbasi does them. Yes, Islam. Empress Jonaya, were you about to say something about that?
I was just going to mention Malo, Washita Bay. That's in Arizona territory. I'm not sure
and Justice Abbasi do ID cards.
Right.
Okay. I got mine from Justice Abbasi.
Are they in the chat or on the call?
I don't know if.
I don't think Malo's on here. If you want to put your
Islam. What territory are you in or near?
In Michigan territory.
Michigan territory. Yeah, there is also justices in Virginia who are starting to do that now too. Both in Virginia and in so if you're in that area and you want to just actually text, if you can see my number and you text me, I can help you get some information since you're from that area, or you could go.
So, I believe that is. Are there any other questions or comments?
Islam. She said her information got rejected.
Rejected by who? Because no one rejects information where more.
It was sent back. Return to sender.
And where did you send it, Empress?
I gotta remember. I don't remember exactly where I sent it because I don't have it in front of me.
Okay, Empress, that's fine. Justice Abbasi and Justice Malo can assist you with that.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Are there any other questions or comments? Okay. Islam. I believe we will go ahead and pick up the call again on today's Sunday. We'll pick it up again on Wednesday, and then Thursday. So with that being said, peace and grand rising to the sovereign, original, indigenous, natural, divine heirs. Let's keep it going. Peace.
Grand rising.
Grand rising to the heirs. Peace and love.
Much love. Grand rising.
Grand rising.
Peace and love.
Grand rising.
Grand rising.
Grand rising.
Grand rising. Grand rising. Grand rising.
Is that Empress Genesis and the bowl? Yes. Islam.
Islam.